Hello and happy day. Welcome to New Age Custom Farming. If you're new here, we are a custom farming operation in Wisconsin, and I know there actually are quite a few new people here because there's a lot of new people here thanks to Zach Johnson, the millennial farmer, showing us on his channel. He came with us to the National Farm Machinery Show Championship tractor pull, and we challenged his subscribers, if we get to 100,000 subscribers, that Zach will drive one of our pulling tractors. So I know there's quite a few of you guys that are new thanks to that. So thanks for being here. Welcome to our channel. Today's video is our next edition of Tractor Tuesday, where every Tuesday we highlight different tractors we have in our fleet. But first, we're going to answer some different questions that we got on our last Tractor Tuesday, which is all about our choppers. So question number one is how much horsepower does the choppers have? Do the choppers have around 800 horse? What is a hot farm? Because at the end of the video, Avery also said that if we get to 100,000 subscribers, we're going to build me a hot farm. A hot farm is a different class of a pulling tractor. So we have a pro stock and a limited pro, and then hot farm is one of like a different class that's, I don't know, would you say like it's a smaller class? Like, yeah,
it's less horsepower, but
it's a very competitive class.
Some people call it an entry-level class, but it's definitely not an entry-level class. It's pretty competitive.
Very competitive,
and
yeah.
they work just as hard as we do, for sure.
So we want to build me a hot farm, and the hot farm is just another pulling tractor. Can we see the tractor that you are going to put Zach on if he ever pulls one of our tractors? It is currently in pieces. Because Avery blew it up last summer, but I will insert a photo of it right here so you can see what it looks like, and then when it's back in one piece, and we have 100,000 subscribers, then maybe Zach will sit in it. So help us get there. What time of year do we finish silage? So we do 4 crops of haylage, and then that usually gets done like end of August, beginning of September, and then we finish corn silage end of September, beginning of October usually. Avery, this question is for you, is why are there no Weimer parts on the choppers?
No Weimer parts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll put a big old windmill on my chopper.
Tune her up a bit?
Yeah, I got a twin turbo chopper, but one big dog windmill on there would maybe get her done. But, you know, if I start chopping that fast, we're going to have to raise the hourly rate quite a bit, so.
Okay, another person asked about the explanation of corn and how it's all harvested, because we were talking about how we use our choppers to harvest corn silage. So there is sweet corn, which is a different variety of corn that you eat as your corn on the cob, your corn kernels that you eat at home. There's field corn, and that is either harvested with a combine where it shells it, and then you only take like the kernels and you use that. That gets sent to like a co-op and then sold to either go into different products or go into ethanol. And then you have forage or corn silage, which is taking the entire corn plant, chopping it up into small pieces, storing it and using it to feed cattle. And then the other question, Avery, this is for you, is about how many hours do we put on a chopper before we try and upgrade it?
That's a good question.
We'll let you know when we get there.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
All right, now we are going to hand it over to Avery because the next edition of Tractor Tuesday is his bread and butter. We are going to be talking about our sprayers we have here on the farm.
One of them.
Oh, we're only going to talk about one of them?
Well, the other one's not here.
Where is the other? Oh, the other one's getting fixed.
Yeah, it's at Hennessy.
It's at Hennessy. The other one's a New Holland, so I would love to be showcasing that instead, because...
What do you mean, you don't like my red sprayer?
Well, we're just more of a New Holland family here.
Okay, CNH.
Okay, yeah, it is part of the CNH family, thank goodness. God, it's not a nasty green one.
Yeah, we used to have one of them, but we totaled that.
Before we get into the sprayer, why don't you give a synopsis of why we have 2 sprayers?
Yeah, so we have 2 because we got to get-ish done. And I do custom applicating, spraying, so with a business partner,
which is
Brandon. He's a classmate of mine from high school, and
they go way back.
Yeah, we go way back till we were just little shits running around on dirt bikes. So we ended up buying a spraying business from a guy in town that Brandon worked for through college. When he got done with college, that guy wanted to be done with the spraying at part of his business, and we ended up buying that out. So now we do custom application for a lot of people in our area, and obviously all of our own spraying we also do. So I started out, so he bought the sprayer from the guy in town, and then I bought my dad and his business partner's sprayer from the farm here, and then we ran those for a little while, and then I traded mine in. I used to have a 4410 case IH sprayer, so like almost the same thing as this, but just a 90-foot boom. It was like a 2006, and we were getting to the point where we couldn't keep up anymore, so then I traded that one in on this one as a 4440 with a 120-foot boom. Essentially the same thing, just newer and got a few more nicer bells and whistles, but for the most part it's almost identical. And then that next summer, Brandon a car pulled in front of him with his John Deere sprayer, and he ended up rolling it. So we didn't have plans to replace that sprayer quite yet, but it actually worked out okay because it was right before fungicide season, and we didn't have a sprayer to do fungicide with tasseled corn. So we ended up buying a New Holland sprayer. That's a SP310F. It's a 120-foot mono boom on it. High clearance sprayer for doing fungicide, and then obviously we can spray everything else with it too. So that's how we ended up with that one. But this one's the one that I made. We both drive each of them, but I would say this one is mostly mine and the New Holland is mostly Brandon's. We each operate both of them, but I mostly drive this one. This one, we can go look at it a little closer, but she's kind of parked in, so it's going to be hard to tell. Well, this one, it has a 120-foot boom, aim command flex. So that's what that means is there's this solenoid right here with a plunger in it, an electric solenoid, so it pulsates, and that makes it so the spray doesn't drift in the wind as bad, and that's how it controls the rate, whereas the New Holland is just a pressure and speed sprayer, so it doesn't have that at all. All it does is when you speed up, it ups the pressure to keep the rate correct, where these, when you want a higher rate, it pulsates slower to let more product out. I would say that this, in my opinion, and you can get that on a New Holland sprayer too, but ours just doesn't have it. But in my opinion, this system sprays way better. It gets the product to the ground a lot nicer in worse conditions, but it's also a major headache when it's not working, where on the pressure and speed sprayer, it either works or it has a leak. I mean, that's the only thing that can be wrong with it, really. So this one, the pump keeps a constant pressure to the system, and then the pulsating nozzles are what controls the rate. That's how it works. I don't know, I don't know what kind of motor it's got. I think it's like 380 horse or something like that. It's all hydrostatic driven, so there's no gears. It's just kind of like a combine. Same thing as that.
You go or you don't.
Yep, you go or you blow, I guess. I spray, the speed I spray would be anywhere from, depending on the rate, anywhere from 12 to 16, 17 miles an hour. So you're clipping right along. You can do, on a really good day around us, you could get 1,000 acres done in a day with one sprayer. That would be, I mean, you'd be getting it. And that would be probably a 10 gallon an acre rate. 10 gallons an acre is about the lowest rate that we spray. And then we spray, when we're spraying fertilizer, we put liquid fertilizer out with these in the spring with the herbicide, and that can get up to 50 gallons an acre. So that really slows you down when you're filling up all the time. Yeah, we can walk. I got these big fenders on it because we put float tires on it in the spring. So you got bigger float tires instead of the row crop ones. So this can drive in between the rows and not run over any corn. Is why you have skinny tires. But in the spring when the corn isn't out of the ground, I have 20.8 Firestones that I put on it. and it just helps the sprayer float a little better, and those tires are a lot cheaper than these skinnier ones, so I'd rather wear those out going down the road and stuff.
Can you talk about and maybe point out some technology that you guys have that helps make it so that we're being more precise, not wasting products? Because I feel like a lot of people that don't understand maybe why we're using crop protection products and stuff like that. And
yeah, so crop protection, for anybody who doesn't understand what a sprayer even does, you mix in the tank here. We can go kind of show the tank. So in this tank, you mix a solution of herbicides that...
What does a herbicide do?
A herbicide basically is a chemical that kills weeds. Like Roundup would be a herbicide, and there's all sorts of different ones that you can use. So they're actually at a pretty low use rate. So like we spray stuff like a quart of the active herbicide would cover an entire acre, and that's kind of a high rate. Like there's things that we only put on 4 ounces an acre, like 4 ounces of chemical per acre, and then you mix it in the solution of water so you can control it better, and then you get a better coverage over the plant. So some of the technology we use is these nozzles have this sprayer doesn't have it, but I could pay for it, but I don't. It has it has the ability to do an individual nozzle shutoff. So when you're spraying down through the field, it will, the boom is going down the field, and it paints a map on the screen of what you've sprayed. And then when you get to that part again, even if it's only this wide of what you've sprayed, it'll shut off individual nozzles to not over apply the chemical to an area.
You have section shut off though, right?
Yeah, well, no, I have it, so the tips are every nozzle because that's the area that you mostly overlap, but then in the center of the boom, it's every 3 nozzles. Gotcha. So like these 3 will shut off, but you can do an unlock code and have every nozzle, but I just don't feel it's worth the money, so.
And then there is technology that we don't have currently, but I know there's technology out there where instead of just like blanket spraying in the field, it'll go through and has like a sensor that sees the weed and shoots the weed.
Yep.
So there's even more technology coming down the road that will make it even more efficient.
They put an eye on the front of the boom, and it can, as you're going through the field, it'll see a weed, and it can differentiate. Wow, that was hard. It can tell the difference between a weed and a corn plant, and it'll just spray the weed. I mean, it might hit the corn plant too, but you're not doing a blanket coverage over the whole field, which, in my opinion, it's a great system to start with, but we spray a lot of pre-emerge herbicides, so you blanket cover the whole field in order to prevent weeds from growing. So it'll stop the germination of the weed seed. So that's kind of the most effective way to stop weed. You're better off stopping them before they even grow. Is the most effective way to control the weeds. So it's got its goods and its bads, and like even when you're spraying a second pass herbicide, we'll put in like a foliar feed, like I'll compare it to like Miracle Grow. I mean, it's not Miracle Grow, but it's something like Miracle Grow that you want to spray on the corn plant or the beans or the alfalfa to make it grow better. Well, if you're only doing a see and spray, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the foliar feed. So I've got some ideas of what they should do. I think that they should have it would be a very expensive system, but they should have a separate pipe that holds just the active herbicide that you need, and it could inject it into the system. Like it could inject it into the system to just kill the weed as you're going while you're still spraying the whole field with something else that you need. So I'm sure there's somebody way smarter than me working on that, but that's kind of some of the systems or the technologies that they're coming out with. So we do, obviously, we're not an organic farm. We use synthetic chemicals, but we also use biological products as well. We see a value in using both synthetic chemicals and biological products.
We don't think that currently biological products will be able to replace what we get out of synthetic products, but I know as technology continues to improve, as products continue to improve, you never know what will happen. But we like to use a balance of both of the products.
Yeah, and the reality of the situation is, like, organics is a great idea, but you'll never feed the world. Well, I shouldn't say never. Currently, you can't feed the world doing that. Your yields would drop drastically, and the price in the grocery store would go way up.
And the other thing, I actually work with a biological company helping them with their social media, and I've spoken with a few of the people who work there and some of the owners, and it's a lot easier for farmers too, instead of being like, you can't use any of your synthetic chemicals, you have to use all of these biologic products, whatever. The rate of adoption for that is like none, but if you're able to like slowly replace products with biological products, the rate of adoption is a lot faster. And so in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot easier for farmers and for companies to be able to do kind of like the slow product adoption versus this like quick and dirty, fast turnaround.
And I'll say too, people say that we overuse herbicides, but I can guarantee you farmers are more likely to underuse them than overuse them. I'm in the business, I sell the chemicals. I watch people under-apply chemicals more than over-apply because it's cheaper. If you over-apply it, you're just wasting money. Under-applying it can also be a bad thing because what you end up doing is, I'll call it dinging a weed. You make it sick, but you don't kill it. And then you get resistant weeds to the chemicals.
I'm smiling because it's almost like as humans when we have antibiotics, if we don't finish our antibiotic round, then we're just making whatever thing or sickness or bacteria just resistant to whatever our antibiotic is. So.
Yep. And then when you end up making a weed resistant, you have to use a harsher chemical later on to make it work. Mm-hmm. So you're better off to just make sure it's working before you just ding a weed, I'll call it. So welcome to my office. I spend a lot of time in here.
It smells cleaner than your topper cab.
Yeah, so the sprayer's actually relatively new. I think it's a 2019. And it kind of, to me, still has a new cab smell, which is crazy because I've done a lot of sweating in here. So, I don't know how much battery we have. Think she'll start? Wow.
Oh.
That's good. I'll let her warm up for a little bit, recharge the battery. But yeah, so this has a full Raven system on it, as you can see here. I have 1,320 engine hours, which is how many feet are in a quarter mile? 1,320. Fun fact. I don't know. Just saw that.
I'm so happy you know that.
Yep. So this is my iPad mount. I don't know why. Oh, I must have had it in the bag, or it sits right here, and I got an iPad on there when I want it. Ooh. Good thing this sun drop didn't explode all over my, or did it? Anyway, yeah, she takes a little while to boot up, and it's not going to be happy because we're in the steel shed and there's not going to be any satellite signal. But this is the rig.
They can't see the screen.
They can't see it.
There we go. Now you can.
Alright, so there's all sorts of different stuff. I gotta turn this on to make it happy, but right now I turned my lightning bolt or my aim system off when I shut it off for a long time, so it's gotta figure itself out. She's been in hibernation. So up here, just some simple stuff. Oil pressure, coolant temperature, fuel, engine RPM, speed, how much DEF is in the tank, diesel exhaust fluid, obviously fuel rate, gallons per hour, voltage, engine hours, and you can scroll through this stuff. Oil pressure, engine coolant temp, intake temperature, Def level there is 72%. Def temperature, I don't know why you need to know that, but you do. On there, this is, I'll call this is the spray control screen, I would say. This doesn't map a job, but this just kind of shows you, like, I could go out and spray, but I couldn't do section control on just this. So you got this is your rate. I got it at 15 gallons an acre, and this is your target pressure, would be 60 psi, and this is the volume in the tank. So how much, like, this shows your tank, how much liquid's in it, so it counts it down as it's spraying. I mean, right down to the gallon. This is your fold screen. You don't really have to do anything there. And then this is your auto boom height. So it has sensors out on the boom that automatically can sense the ground and move the boom up and down off the ground as you're going through like a rolling terrain, so you don't have to manually do it. A couple other things. This is the center mast of the boom going up and down. This is a little different than a combine, because in a combine you do have gears that you select. This just controls your hydro. So like if it's turned all the way down that way, when I push the stick all the way ahead, it'll only go like 11.5 miles an hour. And then when the sticks, if I turn it to like I don't know exactly, but like there, when you push it ahead, it probably goes to like 15, 16. And when you go all the way up, it'll go 31, 32 miles an hour down the road. So actually I end up, when I'm driving down the road, I end up using this a lot. So I'll push the stick all the way ahead and I'll just sit here like this and speed it up and down, because it's smoother to do that than actually pull on the stick. These are your manual section controls. You have 7 sections you can manually control from here. This is for your fence line sprayers, so you can push that button up. When you're spraying along a fence line, there's a tip out on the end that'll shoot it out into the fence line to spray that off. This is how you fold the booms in and out. You can just push it down and it'll automatically fold out or in. And then these are your manual ones to do it manually. Like, folds out 3 times. This is your sparge pressure right here. So when you turn the pump on here, you can see your sparge right there. Sparge is a recirculating through the tank to keep the solution in the tank from settling out. This controls your aim system, and this is just your parking brake here. Then under here, you can slide your axles in and out to match up to different rows. This one here manually controls your booms up and down. So like you can lift them up out of the pockets, or if you're going through the field, you can look out there. If you want to go over like a fence post or something, you just pick it up, it'll pick that boom up.
What about when trees attack your sprayer?
Yeah, this is to dodge the trees from grabbing my sprayer and everything. Otherwise they like to reach out and grab it if you're not quick enough on this.
They sometimes still do.
Yep. This one's your manual, or this is your master spray. So down is off, flip it up, and it'll start spraying when you take off. And then this is your auto steer button. So like when you're going through the field, it'll have an auto steer line that it wants to lock onto, and you click that, it starts steering itself. Up here you got climate control stuff, windshield wipers, power mirrors. This button locks the auto steer, so if you flip that on, the auto steer won't work. Just kind of a safety thing. Flasher or hazards with headlights on, strobe lights, running lights. So when you want to run at night, turns all your lights on. You can see outside. I turned them on. They work pretty good. Radio, got a Bluetooth radio in here so I can jam out. And then I've got a reverse camera up there, but I might just rip that out because it barely ever works and it's always falling off the window.
And that's a good spot to put your phone mount so you can film yourself in your spray.
Yep.
To give the people what they want.
Yep. That's the tour of in the cab. And the other thing I didn't do is throttle. So this revs the engine up. So we run wide open when we're spraying. Once the engine's warmed up, you they want you to run it at least 1800 RPM to even move it in the yard, because that gives you enough hydraulic pressures to release your brakes, your parking brake and everything. And it's just, the hydrostatic system isn't good to lug the motor or lug that down. They want RPM. That's just what I was told. I mean, I'll still move it around at 1200 RPM. I don't really worry about that too much, but that's what I was told. But I also don't like to just rip around the yard wide open. Nobody wants to listen to that, so.
And that is what our sprayers are like. Like I said, when we get our new Holland sprayer back from getting work done, probably when we're actually in spraying season, we'll give a little bit of an overview of that. But thanks so much for watching today's Tractor Tuesday. As always, let us know what questions you have about whatever we just showed, anything else you want answered, and we'll answer them in our next Tractor Tuesday. And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye!